in which our happy couples learn that life is not easy, whether as newlyweds or as recent divorcees. Chapter 2. On the day of the wedding, Levin, according to custom, the princess and Darya Alexandrovna strictly insisted on fulfilling all customs, did not see his fiancée, and dined in his hotel with a chance gathering of 3 bachelors, Sergei Ivanovitch, Katavasov, his university friend, now a professor of natural science, whom Levin had met in the street and dragged home with him, and Chirikov, one of his groomsmen, a Moscow justice of the peace, Levin's bear-hunting comrade. The dinner was very merry. Sergei Ivanovitch was in the best of spirits and enjoyed Katavasov's originality. Katavasov, feeling that his originality was appreciated and understood, flaunted it. Chirikov gaily and good-naturedly supported all the conversations. "See now," Katavasov said, drawing out his words from a habit acquired at the lectern, "what an able fellow our friend Konstantin Dmitritch used to be. I'm speaking of him as an absent man, because he is no more. He loved science then, on leaving the university, and had human interests, but now half of his abilities are aimed at deceiving himself, and the other half at justifying this deceit. A more resolute enemy of marriage than you I've never yet seen," said Sergei Ivanovitch. "No, not an enemy. I'm a friend of the division of labor. People who can't do anything should make people, and the rest should contribute to their enlightenment and happiness. That's how I understand it. The mixing of these trades is done by hosts of fanciers, of whom I am not one." "How happy I'll be when I find out you've fallen in love," said Levin. "Kindly invite me to your wedding." "I'm already in love." "Yes, with the cuttlefish. You know," Levin turned to his brother, "Mikhail Semyonitch is writing a work on the feeding and—" "Well, don't go muddling things. It makes no difference what it's about. The point is that I really do love the cuttlefish. But that won't prevent you from loving a wife. That won't prevent me, but the life will." "Why so?" "You'll find out. You, for instance, love farming and hunting. Well, wait and see." "Arkip came today, and said there's no end of elk in Brudnoye, and 2 bears," said Chirikov. "Well, you'll have to bag them without me." "You see, it's true," said Sergei Ivanovitch, "and from now on it's goodbye to bear hunting. Your wife won't allow it." Levin smiled. The idea of his wife not allowing him pleased him so much that he was ready to renounce forever the pleasure of seeing bears. "Still, it's a pity those 2 bears will get bagged without you. Do you remember the last time in Kapilovo? We'd have great hunting," said Chirikov. Levin did not want to deprive him of the illusion that there could be anything good anywhere without her, and so he said nothing. "This custom of bidding farewell to bachelor life was not established in vain," said Sergei Ivanovitch. "However happy one may be, one still regrets one's freedom." "Confess, you do have that feeling of wanting to jump out of the window, like the suitor in Gogol." "Certainly he does, but he won't confess it. Katavasov said, and laughed loudly. Well, the window's open. Let's set us there right now. One is a she-bear, so we can get to the den. Really, let's take the 5 o'clock train, and they can do as they like here, said Chirikov, smiling. I'll tell you, by God, Levine said, smiling. In my heart I can't find any feeling of regret for my freedom. Ah, there's such chaos in your heart now that you couldn't find anything there, Katavasov said. Wait till you sort things out, then you'll find it. No. Otherwise I'd have at least some slight sense that, besides my feeling, he did not want to say, of love in front of him, and happiness, I was still sorry to lose my freedom. On the contrary, I am glad precisely of this loss of freedom. Bad. A hopeless specimen, said Katavasov. Well, let's drink to his recovery, or else wish him that only 100th part of his dreams comes true, and that would already be such happiness as has never been on earth. The guests left soon after dinner, so as to have time to change for the wedding. Remaining alone and recalling the conversation of these bachelors, Levine once again asked himself, did he really feel in his heart this regret for his freedom that they had spoken of? He smiled at the question. Freedom? Why freedom? Happiness is only in loving and desiring, thinking her desires, her thoughts. That is no freedom at all. That's what happiness is. But do I know her thoughts, her desires, her feelings? Some voice suddenly whispered to him. The smile vanished from his face, and he fell to thinking, and suddenly a strange sensation came over him. He was possessed by fear and doubt of everything. What if she doesn't love me? What if she's marrying me only so as to get married? What if she herself doesn't know what she's doing? He asked himself. She may come to her senses and understand only after marrying that she does not and cannot love me. And strange thoughts about her, of the very worst sort, began coming into his head. He was jealous of Vronsky, as he had been a year ago, as if that evening when he had seen her with Vronsky were yesterday. He suspected that she had not told him everything. He quickly jumped up. No, it's impossible like this, he said to himself in despair. I'll go to her, ask her, tell her for the last time, we're free. Hadn't we better stop? Anything's better than eternal unhappiness, disgrace, infidelity. With despair in his heart, and with anger at all people, at himself, at her, he left the hotel and drove to see her. He found her in the back rooms. She was sitting on a trunk, making arrangements about something with a maid, with whom she was sorting out piles of many-colored dresses laid over the backs of chairs and on the floor. Oh, she cried when she saw him and lit up with joy. Why, what is it? How unexpected! And I'm here sorting out all my girlhood dresses. Which goes to whom? Oh, that's very nice, he said, looking gloomily at the maid. Run along, Dunyasha. I'll call you later, said Kitty. What's the matter with you? She asked, resolutely addressing him informally, as soon as the maid had left. She noticed his strange face, agitated and gloomy, and fear came over her. Kitty, I'm suffering. I can't suffer alone, he said with despair in his voice, standing before her and looking at her imploringly. He already saw by her loving, truthful face that nothing could come of what he intended to say. But all the same he needed her reassurance. I've come to say that we still have time. It can all be cancelled and corrected. What? I don't understand anything. What's the matter with you? What I've told you 1,000 times and can't help thinking, that I'm not worthy of you. You couldn't have agreed to marry me. Think. You've made a mistake. Think well. You can't love me, if it's better to say it. He talked without looking at her. I'll be unhappy. They can all say whatever they like. Anything's better than unhappiness. Anything's better now, while there's time. I don't understand, she replied fearfully. You mean that you want to take back? That we shouldn't? Yes, if you don't love me. You're out of your mind, she cried, fluxing with vexation. But his face was so pathetic that he held back her vexation, and throwing the dresses off a chair, sat closer to him. What are you thinking? Tell me everything. I think that you cannot love me. What could you love me for? My God, what can I... she said, and burst into tears. Oh, what have I done? He cried, and kneeling before her began kissing her hands. When the princess came in 5 minutes later, she found them perfectly reconciled. Kitty had not only assured him that she loved him, but in answering his question about what she could love him for, had even explained to him what for. She had told him that she loved him because she thoroughly understood him, that she knew what he must love, and that all that he loved, all of it, was good. And that seemed perfectly clear to him. When the princess came in, they were sitting side by side on the trunk, sorting out dresses and arguing over Kitty's wanting to give Dunyasha the brown dress she'd been wearing when Levine proposed to her, while he insisted that that dress should not be given to anyone, and that Dunyasha should get the light blue one. How can you not understand? She's a brunette, and it won't suit her. Have it all worked out. On learning why he had come, the princess became angry, half jokingly, half seriously, and sent him home to get dressed and not interfere with Kitty's having her hair done, because Charles would be coming presently. She's eaten nothing all these days and doesn't look well as it is, and here you come and upset her with your silliness, she said to him. On your way, my dear man. Levine, guilty and ashamed, yet comforted, went back to his hotel. His brother, Darya Alexandrovna, and Stepan Arkadyevitch, all fully dressed, were already waiting for him to bless him with an icon. There was no time to linger. Darya Alexandrovna still had to go home to pick up her pomaded and curled son, who was to carry the icon for the bride. Then one carriage had to be sent for the best man, and another to be sent back to pick up Sergei Ivanovitch. Generally, there were a number of quite complicated considerations. One thing was beyond doubt, that they could not dawdle because it was already 6:30. The blessing with the icon did not turn out well. Stepan Arkadyevitch assumed a comically solemn pose, standing next to his wife, took the icon, and, after telling Levine to bow to the ground, blessed him with a kind and mocking smile and kissed him 3 times. Darya Alexandrovna did the same, then hastened to leave at once, and again became confused about the projected itineraries for the carriages. Well, here's what we'll do. You go and fetch him in our carriage, and Sergei Ivanovitch, if you will be so kind, can go and then send the carriage back. Why, I'll be very glad to. And we'll go with him now. Have your things been sent? Said Stepan Arkadyevitch. Yes, replied Levine, and he told Kuzma to prepare his clothes. If you enjoy this format, please leave a like and subscribe and return tomorrow for the next chapter.